This week on the RV Podcast,
full-time RV life, handling Medicare, insurance, and finances.
There is a massive recall of the heavy-duty Ford trucks used by many RVers to haul their trailers and fifth wheels.
The fun story about some RVers who adopted a stray cat that they found at a campground. Apparently this happens all the time.
All this plus the RV news of the week and your questions coming up in episode 566 of the RV Podcast.
Hello everybody, I'm Mike Wendland, and this is my lifelong traveling companion and my bride, Jennifer. Hello my dear.
Hello my Michael.
And here we go again, double hurricanes perhaps. Humberto and Imelda forming in the South Atlantic, and as we record this, we're told they could be headed toward the Carolinas or the East Coast. Now, the hope is that they'll stay far out to sea, but as we record this podcast, we felt we ought to mention this because forecasters are seeing the potential that the two systems could somehow merge or certainly influence each other, become a superstorm, and track further east. And we want to join everybody else that has been praying that this doesn't happen because that area is still reeling from last year's flooding that was caused by Hurricane Helene. We don't know where it's going to go yet. And we're also watching a possible government shutdown Wednesday, October 1st. That's today, the day that this podcast is released.
Now, if that happens, a group of 40 former national park superintendents is calling on the Trump administration to close the parks to visitors. Past shutdowns in which parks remained open led to vandalism of iconic symbols, destroying wildlife habitat, and endangering visitors. If you have fall plans to visit a national park this week, you'll want to keep a close watch.
Again, as we record this, Democrats and Republicans are still deadlocked on an extension to avoid the shutdown. But hopefully when this podcast is in your playlist, it will be all moot until the next time they have a showdown and a showdown over a shutdown. And that's seems to happen every year, doesn't it?
It happens several times a year.
Yeah, it seems to be.
Now, as this podcast is released, we are on the Mississippi River about to head into Louisiana. We've been tracing the river for weeks now.
Starting in northern Minnesota, where we could literally hop across the river on stepping stones. That just seems impossible now, doesn't it?
It sure does.
I mean, but we were there. And it's gotten bigger and more powerful. And as we approach our campsite on the river across from Natchez today, it's over half a mile wide.
Now, if you want to follow our adventures, we're sharing weekly YouTube videos on our RV Lifestyle channel and of our blog, rvlifestyle.com. We've been doing daily updates.
Now, the best place to follow us is on rvcommunity.com. That's our ad-free private online community. We're doing daily behind-the-scenes reports with photos, and several of those traveling with us are also sharing their pictures and their reports too. It's been an awesome trip, and we just love sharing it with you.
And now it's time for the RV News of the Week.
Well, this is a big story. Ford Motor Company is recalling 115,000 plus heavy-duty trucks because the steering column's upper shafts could detach, causing a loss of steering control. Now, these happen to be the most popular trucks used by RVers to tow trailers and fifth wheels. They're F250, F350, and F450 models from the model years 2020 and 2021, and there's a lot of those out there on the road. More specifically, the recall covers trucks that were built between February of 2019 and September of 2020. Ford says that only about 1% of all the trucks on the road are affected. No crashes or injuries have been reported. Now, but if you own one of these trucks in those model years, you should right away call up, bring it into your local dealer for inspection, and if necessary, they'll replace the defective parts on the steering column's upper shaft.
Dealerships have already been notified about the recall and the fix for the issue. In case you are wondering why you haven't received a recall notice on this from Ford, one will be coming sometime this week.
There's this delay when we see these recalls. The National Highway Transportation Safety Board, NHTSA, or whatever that is, administration, not board, they send these releases out as soon as they issue a recall, but they've been in contact with the manufacturers, but it takes the manufacturers several weeks then to get a letter out to everybody. Apparently, it has to go through all those high-priced lawyers that the manufacturer have, and every word has to be analyzed by a committee. But we try to report this when we announce that you haven't gotten an announcement yet. No sweat. You will get one in a week. You can call your dealer right now, and if your model is affected, bring it in. They'll look it over for you.
Now, assuming the government shutdown is averted today, October 1st, is the day that the north rim of Grand Canyon National Park is set to partially reopen for the first time since a pair of massive wildfires destroyed many of its beloved buildings this summer.
Highway 67 and Cape Royal Road will be open today, supposed to be, offering access to scenic places like Point Imperial and Cape Royal. Fire Point and Swamp Ridge will also reopen, according to an update from park officials, and the reopened sections will welcome visitors from sunrise to sunset daily through November 30th or until the first major snowfall of the season, which usually comes a little before that even. And that's when the section's normally seasonal closure begins. But the fire really did have an effect, and I'm surprised because they said that the whole park would be closed for the year.
Now, North Rim's iconic Grand Canyon Lodge and many other historic structures within the North Rim were destroyed as the fire grew out of control. Park officials had initially determined that the North Rim was going to be closed the remainder of this year after the buildings burned.
The wildfire has, it's still burning, by the way?
Yeah.
Still burning. It's burned more than 145,000 acres within areas in and right around the north rim of the park there. And it's currently, like I say, still burning in some areas. They say it's 94% contained and that there's been minimal fire growth over the past few weeks, but still they urge any visitors to exercise caution while you're traveling within the North Rim because of active firefighting operations and other impacts. They issued a statement on it.
So hazards remain, including dead standing trees, the potential for flash flooding, even in areas not directly affected by the fire, and the presence of crews and equipment actively working on the recovery operation. Park officials wrote in their update, emergency response will be extremely limited and response times may be significantly delayed.
So visit at your own risk, I guess, but you can visit. Unless that government shutdown takes place. Speaking of national parks and problems with visitors, thieves are targeting California's Redwood National and State Parks and taking everything from memorial plaques for veterans, plaques for donor recognition markers, even items as mundane as sewer drains. The parks have long had problems with people stealing something called burl, which is that gnarled wood growth that you can get out there. It's black people use it for decorations and wood carving and things. But now thieves are brazenly taking off with everything ranging from a 12-inch statue of a coho salmon to a 20-inch bronze recreation of a dugout canoe used by Native American people. And investigations are ongoing, but people are stealing stuff from our national parks. All right. We have links to more information on all those stories on our podcast page, and you can find that in the show notes at rvlifestyle.com/podcast. And we also welcome your comments and your questions about anything you hear today. And you can send us a private email at mikeandjen@rvlifestyle.com.
Well, now it's time for the conversation of the week. And this week we're going to talk about a big issue for many RVers who are nearing retirement age and want to do more traveling, either full-time or else get away for long, extended periods of time. For many, the most confusing issues involve questions about Medicare and finances.
Now, to help sort out those questions, we've invited a longtime friend of the podcast, Tim Gustafson, who also happens to be a full-time RVer himself. He's going to help sort out some of those issues. Tim is a senior lifestyle solutions expert, which means he specializes in Medicare and financial planning for seniors. And he's not here to sell us anything, but he's here to help us better understand the questions we should be asking as we plan a more active RV lifestyle of travel.
We also talk about how, after being a guest on this program a number of years ago, he and his family decided to sell everything they had, road school the kids, and travel all over North America.
Well, Tim joins us right now, and Tim hopefully will look familiar to some of you because back in episode 300 and something, what was it, Tim?
333.
333. Maybe halfway through because we're up, pushing 560 now.
Yeah.
So way back there, Tim was on, and we got to meet. And in that period of time since then, you had a big life change in terms of the way you live.
I
So
did.
why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I was just fascinated and prayed and dreamt of becoming part of the RV community. I tent camped regularly with my wife and kids. But since then, we have jumped both feet in and just embraced this lifestyle. So we are now 26 months into our 1-year road trip. Sold everything, put things in storage units, and we hit the road. And with our goal to travel and see all 50 states. Turns out that 49 is probably all we're going to be able to see in the RV. That Hawaii is really hard to get to. But
You could maybe go over there and rent one. But
right.
So tell us a little bit about who travels in your RV and what kind of an RV you have. And
Yes. So
how did you make that decision to sell everything? I mean, you're still a young man.
yeah. So we're living in Arizona, and for those that are in Arizona this time of year, they understand that unless you like to play cremation, there's not a whole lot to do in Arizona. You kind of step out and burst into flames. And so my wife is a stay-at-home. She homeschools our 2 kids. I've got a 13-year-old daughter, pray for me, please, and an 11-year-old son.
Need it.
And then our dog as well. And so we hit the road and been traveling in a 38-foot fifth wheel, which is just the appropriate. We were looking at all the different options when we started, but realized that for us, where we can park the RV, unhook the truck, have the truck to be able to go explore, has just worked perfectly for our family.
How did you decide this? I mean, what made you do this? I mean, you had only tent camped before. I mean, this is pretty
Right.
drastic.
And so, talking to you got me pretty excited about this. And then, COVID kind of forced the hand for things to be a lot more virtual, where I can talk to my clients, just over the phone or via video chats like this. And so I got licensed in all 50 states. And so my wife and we went camping one Father's Day weekend, and we were sitting there and realized how beautiful it was. And then realized that we had to go back to Phoenix where it was 118 degrees. And my wife said, well, what if we just do this? I was like, what do you mean? She goes, what if we just live in an RV for a year and travel the country? And so we took us 11 months of planning, but we were able to, put everything in storage, sell everything off, and find the rig that would work perfectly for us, and we hit the road.
So you're able to work from the road. You're homeschooling the kids for their own, or road schooling, I guess is the proper term.
Yes, my kids are road scholars. That's true.
You're road scholars, that's right. ROAD. Had your wife ever RV'd before?
So we tent camped, and then we did buy just kind of a tent on wheels, a very small bumper pole, during the pandemic, shortly after we did that episode there. And so I think we did a total of 4 camping trips in that one before we upgraded to a fifth wheel and decided to hit the road completely.
So this was supposed to be a 1-year trip.
Correct, yes.
You're into 2 years, working on 3. How long is this trip going to be, do you think?
Ultimately, until the housing prices get more realistic, is kind of what we're thinking. But overall, we're still enjoying it. We still love being able to see the sights and explore things. But the kids are kind of tired of sharing a room with each other and a living room, so it is getting a little tight in space.
Well, I think you're a perfect guy for me to ask now this part of the question, because so many people, we get email all the time from people who are either retired, thinking about retiring, or they're empty nesters maybe even, and they say, we want to spend more time on the road. Not full time, a lot more time on the road. What are the considerations that somebody needs to really go through besides this dream of being free on the open road?
Yeah, it's planning. It's making sure that you have the plan in place. So I was recently asked this by one of my clients. So is if I'm doing this now while I'm still working, what am I looking forward to when I retire? And that kind of messed me up because I really never thought about it. But yes, hitting the road and exploring the country is absolutely great. I work with my clients with the four main pillars of retirement, and that would be Medicare or their medical health insurance, that kind of stuff. If they have anything in place for life insurance, long-term care planning when they get to the point where they need to get off the road and they need care, and then also the finances, making sure that people participate in the plans where they get when the market goes up, their balance goes up, but when the market goes down, they don't lose anything.
You're
So
primarily working professionally with retirees. Is that your main?
correct, yeah. So my
Yep.
clientele is usually 65 plus. Correct.
Okay. Well, that's close to our audience. So a
Okay.
lot of people are there. So you talk about those four pillars. Which, what about the more unique ones? And how does RV travel affect those four different pillars of planning?
So with RVing, the difference is you really don't know where you're going to be when that medical, event happens. Whether it's if you're in a house, it's going to either be at your house or at work. If you're still at your house and working, but when you're traveling, you don't know where and where that's going to be. And so, just having a plan in place on if something happens, how do I get my rig back to my home base? How do I get my wife and family back to the home base? Am I covered in this area? So putting those plans in place where you have an emergency fund. If there's an emergency, you're going to need to have an emergency fund, but possibly purchasing some policies that could replenish that emergency fund, whether it's a specialty ambulance plan that would help bring the rig back to your home base, help get you and your family back to the home base, cover the cost of the ground or the air ambulance, or having a plan like heart attack, cancer, stroke, where if something major happened like that, you could get a big lump sum between $5,000 to $75,000 type thing.
These are all things that would stress out Medicare and stress out whatever supplemental plan you probably had. So those major catastrophes that we all worry about.
Correct. With most medical plans, you have deductibles, you have out-of-pocket expenses, you have caps and stuff and things of that nature. Getting an additional policy would just help supplement that, work it together, make sure that you're able to expand, absorb that type of financial
Does
hit.
your location or home base, many people, let's just say there's somebody who's traveling for extended periods of time, but they still have a home, maintain a home someplace. Is their insurance necessarily tied to that location, or is it covered, particularly with Medicare? Is that covered nationwide?
Most Medicare plans are part of nationwide networks, or it can be used nationwide. Some of the Medicare Advantage plans are network based, so you do have doctors in that area. But if there's an emergency, whether it's an emergency room, ambulance, or urgent care, you would be covered anywhere in the country with those plans where they can't charge you out of network costs or anything like that.
All right. So in general, Medicare is you're pretty well set. You don't have to worry about it. What about if you go to Canada?
So there are a lot more limitations for foreign countries. Medicare usually has a $50,000 max that they would pay for foreign travel, and so that would be the most that they would pay out of pocket.
Let's say you're up in Banff,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody has a heart attack or a stroke, or they're in a traffic accident or something serious. Does Medicare pay directly, or do you have to pay out of pocket and be reimbursed by Medicare if that happens in Canada?
So usually you do. They will bill your insurance directly for that, and they will pay that directly. But a lot of times, it's going to be a lot more out-of-pocket expense for you, where you could easily be paying 20% up to that $50,000 that they would pay, or $10,000.
And there are a number of places where you can get insurance, just short-term insurance for a trip to Canada or whatever. I know we did that. We did a big trip to the Maritimes. We did that.
Mm-hmm.
So the medical stuff is pretty doable, and you just have to be aware of what your supplements are and all that. But What about the financial aspects of it? For example, in your case, when you started off, uh, were you, did you think the RV lifestyle be less expensive or more expensive than living in the sticks and bricks? How did that all work out?
So we were hoping it was going to be about the same, eliminating that mortgage payment and just having RV payments and stuff like that on the road. We were naive thinking that it was going to be we'd be able to do 20 days out of the month, 10 days out of the month boondocking, and the cost would be somewhere between $25 to $40, which obviously on your last episode or one of your last episodes talking about people paying $400 for one night. I was nowhere close. We were blessed that we were able to find the 1,000 Trails and be able to purchase a lifetime membership there. And then, we get to stay in any of their networks of RV parks for up to 3 weeks at any one time, which drastically reduced. But having an emergency fund for, I think the most expensive oopsie on the road we had, we got rear-ended. We were grounded for 3 months. We hit the road 2 days after we finally got our fifth wheel back. My truck engine blew. And between towing and having to leave it and then getting the truck towed and everything, we actually had a European trip, so we had to rent a car, drive across country to make it to the airport we were planning on flying out of. I think it cost about $7,000 for those incidentals.
So those things do happen, and that's the kind of stuff you want to have a cushion for. What other things, from your experience, that you would pass on to people who want to embrace a more active RV lifestyle?
So when it comes to retiring, my clients, retirement's usually a 3-stage. You have a go-go because you just retired, you're still young, you have all this energy, you want to go explore, you go. You want to make sure that you don't run out of money. You also, could put in some investments in programs that you don't have to watch the market and realize if you're having a good day or a bad day when you're doing that. You want to have as much of a stress-free and peace of mind retirement setup as possible. So you have the go-go years where you could have those really long trips or maybe full-time for a couple years. Then usually things will slow down. You have those slow-go years where you may part-time and only do a couple months out of the year. And then unfortunately a lot of clients get to a point where they have a medical event happen and they get to the no-go where they're not going to be able to travel and explore the way they want to throughout retirement. So it's just making sure that you meet with somebody that can do a consultation, look at those 4 main staples: the medical, life insurance, long-term care type planning, and your finances, and get you set up for all 3 of those stages through your retirement.
So I think the thing that a lot of people forget when they retire and they jump into this stuff is that they think this is going to be forever.
Right.
And as you just indicated here, after a couple of years, the kids are getting a little older and they want some space. There's a thing out there called decision fatigue. Have you encountered that yet?
I'll say that I have not been hit as hard with decision fatigue as my wife has. I consider myself the steering wheel holder. My wife is the one that does all the logistical planning as far as, okay, this is going to be the travel day. It's this long. Follow the 3:30 rule. We're going to be stopping at this place. We need to do this. We need to do that. We need to get this place. And constantly trying to plan our lives 4 months in advance. I can definitely tell you that the decision fatigue is a real thing.
The other thing is breakdowns. You mentioned that you were rear-ended and the rig was out of control for 3 months. How did you get by? You'd sold your house? What happened there?
Correct. Yeah. So we were driving 65 miles an hour on the I-10 just outside of Houston, and the car behind me was going about 100 and caught up. Just slammed right in the back of us. Did some slight bending of the frame. Whole rear end needed to be taken off. Luckily, we were in a situation where we were able to stop where we planned to schedule for the week, got things inspected, was told that we can bring it back safely to Arizona. So we were able to get back to kind of our base camp. That's where my wife was born and raised, where my kids were born and raised. I lived the last 18 years. And then we just talked with the insurance. The Progressive is the insurance of who was the insured that hit us. Was able to talk to them saying, hey, we're full-time RVers, so you're going to have to cover temporary housing. They initially said, we don't do that. And I said, well, if he drove through my kitchen and made my house unlivable, you guys would be covering temporary housing, so you're going to extend the same courtesy. And if not, we can get lawyers involved, but I'd rather not. And they said, this is the budget, keep it under $3,500 a month, and they covered Airbnb for three months for us.
But that's good. But for a lot of people, they just have stopped when they said no. They'd just say, "Oh, okay, we can't do it." So I guess that's another reason to want to have somebody who knows insurance too. And the larger thing that you could call and say, "Hey, they're telling me no. What do we do?" You just had to explain your situation to them.
Yeah, I have two friends that are attorneys, and they were absolutely loved it if my neck hurt or my back hurt, and I brought this to their case. But I just told them, I was like, I got two buddies that said that are lawyers, and they would love to examine this case and talk to you about it. So please say no to me, and we'll get them involved. And the insurance department Progressive was actually very friendly and very easy to work with.
And what did you do about your car? Because literally, 2 days after you picked up the rig, it's finally repaired. Your truck is rear-ended, or no,
Right.
your engine blew. Your engine blew in the truck.
So we hit the road. Great the first day. Next day we're driving. All of a sudden it just stopped. The truck died on the side of the road. We had to get it towed. End up having to leave the rig in Texas while we rented a car, drove to Pennsylvania so I could fly to go to on a European trip. But talked with Ford. Ford, honored their warranty and they covered it for us, and that was. Took 5 weeks, but we were in Europe for 4 of them, so I guess the timing was great for us. But
So be prepared for the unexpected.
mm-hmm.
Have a cushion.
Mm-hmm.
Know what your insurance is, and understand that your go-go phase is going to be followed by a slow-go and then a no-go phase.
Correct.
Well, Tim, I appreciate hearing your story, and it's always fun to see somebody who is living the lifestyle out there. And we will send people, we'll give a link to you if it's okay. We'll share your email with them if you want.
Absolutely.
And they can contact you because all the things we talked about, some of them are much more complicated than doing an interview. But congratulations for taking that jump, living that adventure. Your kids will be richer for it in terms of things they've learned, and you've made some great memories.
Yeah, thank you for the inspiration. I really feel that the dumbest thing I ever heard anybody in my life say was YOLO, or you only live once. I've been inspired to live every single day. I'm only going to die once. So
That's right.
Just thank you for that, and the kids are loving it, and just thank you.
All right. Tim Gustafson, our guest, and we'll have you back before we hit episode 1000, I promise.
All right.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Tim.
Mike. All right.
All right. Thank you, Tim, for taking some time to help us kind of see some of those issues that are evolved out there. Keep traveling yourself. And if you want to reach Tim, if you have a question for him, he said I can share his contact information. And we will do that in the show notes, which you'll find at rvlifestyle.com/podcast.
Are you tired of expensive campgrounds and crowded RV parks? What if I told you there's a way to discover amazing overnight stays across the U.S. and Canada for just $49 a year?
RV Overnights connects you with incredible hosts at farms, wineries, breweries, and unique roadside attractions that welcome RVers with open arms.
These aren't just parking spots. They're experiences. Many locations offer electric and water hookups, and you can often stay for multiple days. Picture yourself waking up in a vineyard in Napa, or parking beside a working farm in Montana, or discovering that quirky roadside museum you never knew existed. These are real small business owners who genuinely love meeting fellow travelers and sharing their slice of America.
We've been using RV Overnights this summer and have just been delighted with the places we've stayed, like a bison ranch where we got up close and personal with some bison and had a beautiful bison pasture to camp in. Planning your adventure with RV Overnights is incredibly easy. They have a great app and desktop, website. You search for your route, book your stays, hit the road.
And here is the best part. Our listeners get an exclusive 40% off their annual membership. You just have to use the promo code RVLDEAL when you sign up to RV Overnights. Don't miss out. This is a game-changing way to travel. Head to rvlifestyle.com/RV overnights right now. Remember, use the promo code RVLDEAL. You'll save 40%. Your next adventure, just a click away.
Now it's time for the social media buzz with Wendy Boyer as she reports on the hot issues most talked about this past week on social media and our RV Lifestyle community group.
Hi, everybody. Our RV Lifestyle Facebook group hit a big milestone last week, 600,000 members. We are so excited. We've been doing the whole high five thing and celebrating. It's just amazing how much the group has grown, and it's so rewarding to see literally hundreds of thousands of people logging in there regularly and asking questions and getting help and sharing tips and sharing their love for RVing. And I want to give a big shout out to our volunteer moderators. You guys know who you are. Couldn't do it without you. And speaking of Facebook, there is a post that I would love to share with you this week from Janie. And this post is a story of a cat who lived in a campground. Janie was in Kentucky in a campground with her husband, and this cat just basically moved into their rig. It was unbelievable. She asked the camp host, what's the story of this cat? And it turns out it was a stray, had lived there about 2 years. Camp host said it survived on food and affection that RVers would give it when they would come and camp there. So Janie wrote, we have grown fond of him. He is so chill, very affectionate, loves to talk, and follows me around. Sometimes I have to coax him out of the camper, and he resists. We are leaving in the morning, and the camp host said if I'd like to take him, then go ahead. She didn't have any idea where he came from, doesn't know anything about him. What do you think? Should I leave him alone in the only home he knows, or give him a loving home and take him? And then Janie shared a bunch of really cute pictures of this little guy. We can see him looking out her camper door, snoozing belly up on a comfy bed, even snuggling next to her dog. And people just went nuts. There had to be nearly 3,000 comments on this post, and everybody, it seemed, had the same message from Janie. And it went something like what Kelsey wrote. She said, that is called the Universal Cat Distribution System. He has chosen his family. Take that cutie home. So everyone said, you got to take him home. He loves you guys. You can't just leave him there. It's getting cold out. And what was so amazing is there were so many others in all of these comments who had similar stories. They went camping somewhere. There was a stray cat that lived in the campground. They brought it home, and it ended up being this wonderful pet for many, many years. One person told of a cat they named KOA because they found him at a KOA. Another one named their cat Tom because he was a tomcat before he became theirs. And Dawn, her story really touched my heart. She said that they saved their cat's life, she firmly believes, because they had the same story. Cat was a stray at the campground, and this was years ago down in Gulf State Park in Gulf Shores, Alabama. And 2 weeks after they left, a hurricane came, knocked everything down, and she said she knows if she hadn't taken him, he wouldn't have made it. So some heartwarming stories there. But what about Janie? What did she do with this cute little orange tabby? Well, it turns out, you know what I'm going to say, they bought a carrier and took the cat with them. And she even showed a picture. And she said there was a lot of meowing at first, trying to get him in the carrier. Then he settled down. They plan to take him to a vet, see if he's microchipped, make sure he's okay. But they took him. And they even gave him a name. And I have to share this with you. She wrote, his name is Hitch, as in the little hitchhiker who hitches himself to us. Really a fun story. And hopefully Janie will keep sharing updates on what happens to Hitch. And that's it for me this week. I'm Wendy Boyer, and I will see you either in our private RV Lifestyle community or our Facebook group.
All right, thank you so much, Wendy. All right, I've been telling you the last couple of weeks that we have picked up some scuttlebutt about a new RV property development opening up in Alabama. And we have the information on it now, and we want to tell you about it. So many people are going and buying their own multi-acre RV property. It's just hard to find. There's not a lot of places where zoning and local ordinance will let you stay there as long as you want, whenever you want. Well, we know of 3 states, Tennessee, Arizona, and now we can tell you about a new development that's going up for sale this month for RVers in Alabama. Introducing Woodland Hills, a brand new opportunity for your own multi-acreage RV property in one of the South's most desirable locations
beautiful Lake Eufaula, known as the Big Bass capital of the South. This new development goes on sale this month, and it's right by the Georgia border. It's teeming with game, towering hardwood forests, rolling hills, groomed trails, hidden fields, and freshwater springs. This natural paradise has been divided into large acreage properties designed for privacy and ranging in size from 10 to 25 acres. Prices start at only $59,900. Taxes, some of the lowest in the nation at $200 a year. These properties are ready to build, very RV friendly with no HOA. It's your property, your way. The location is ideal near massive Lake Eufaula, beautifully preserved historic towns, state and national parks, and so much more. And it's just a half-day's drive from the sugar sand beaches of Florida. These properties are being sold on a first-come, first-choice basis. You must have a scheduled showing to see them. Call 877-545-LAND. That's 877-545-LAND.
All right, that's Alabama. But there's also RV development land this month being sold in Tennessee and Arizona.
Kentucky Lake is one of the most visited sites in Tennessee, the biggest lake in the state, a super popular vacation spot, perfect for RVers. Tennessee Land and Lakes is offering new property at the lake this October. This is one of the last big estates by the lake, and they're selling them off in big properties with lake access that allow RVs. The prices are phenomenal. It's near Paris Landing State Park, the widest part of the lake, near the marina, golf course, resorts, and a slew of other great attractions. It's a really beautiful spot, and these are large acreage, 5 to 37 acres in size, designed for privacy with access to the lake, an ideal setup for RVers. Prices start at only $99,900, and that is low for this area. They've got woods, fields, views, cottages, and more with electric and high-speed internet. You can get details and a video tour at rvlands.net. That's rvlands.net. Higher elevations in Arizona, where the vegetation is green, is typically where you find the highest prices for real estate and the most restrictions for RVers. But there's something in Arizona this October that is great for RVers in a green zone at excellent pricing. Western Land and Ranches is selling 5-acre RV ranches starting at only $49,900. These are high elevation ranches, so you get cooler temperatures, big mountain views, juniper trees, green grasses, and lots of space to stretch out. Jen and I visited at the ranch, and it is spectacular. It's near everything: the Grand Canyon, Lake Havasu, Kingman, Flagstaff, Sedona. A perfect place to have a home base to explore the West right off famous Route 66. We met the sales manager, Eric, really nice guy. He bought a property for his RV, and he's building a container home on it. Check the website for a video tour and showing availability. It's pretty incredible. ArizonaRVland.net.
Time now for the RV question of the week, and before we do the question of the week, we want to share a couple of notes that we received after we reported last week about this fantasy RV tour that we're currently on, tracing the Mississippi River from its origin up in Minnesota down to where it empties in the Gulf. And as I said, the Gulf of Mexico or the Gulf of America. And I said both of them very intentionally, hoping to avoid a blanket label of using one over the other. Well, that
wasn't good enough.
That wasn't good enough. And literally within a few hours on the same day after we said that, we got 2 angry emails. And that shows that no matter what you say on some things, you just can't win.
The first note was, I've had it with you. You called it the Gulf of America. Look at the history books, you MAGA fool. It's the Gulf of Mexico, a former subscriber.
Well, there you go. And then there was this one that came through.
Why would you even think of calling it the Gulf of Mexico? Our president changed it, and even Google Maps now labels it the Gulf of America. You're just a left-wing loony, and I'm out of here, a former follower.
Okay. I have no further comment, except to quote one of my former newspaper editors who told me that if you get hate mail from both sides on an issue for exactly opposite reasons, you have probably reported it correctly. All right, now we do have a real question of the week, and this one came from our Facebook.
And this is from Linda. Do any of you post in case of emergency cards in your camper? We're both in our 70s and our daughter worries about us when we travel. Well, that's a role reversal. If you do, what info do you include and where do you place it? Or is this just generally a bad idea these days?
Well, for us, so our family knows where we are, we use a service called Life 360. It's on both of our phones, and it shows our location on a map in real time. You can turn it on and off if you want, but we have found it's just a great way for our loved ones to know where we are. And we both also have all of our medical records on patient portals with our local hospital. And that means that it can be accessed for lab tests and prescriptions and doctor and hospital notes. All are there wherever we are in the country. They can be easily accessed and retrieved. And then also on our phone, we have made a contact that we've entered. We've called it ICE that we've entered. ICE standing for in case of emergency. And that lists people to be notified if we're in an emergency situation. In the show notes, if you've never set up ICE on your phone, we'll share a link on how you can do so. Just go to rvlifestyle.com/podcast.
Linda's question brought a great response from the community. Here's a few of them.
From Cheryl. I give my kids our itinerary when we travel so they'll know where we are, and they also have Life 360 and the Find My Phone app with location sharing for them turned on. I have numerous medical conditions, so I keep a list of medications in my purse. I've thought about getting a medical alert bracelet, but they're not very pretty, and I'm vain.
Now from Dale, I have an envelope marked emergency on the dash of our Toad. Inside the envelope is a paper printed with my computer saying our dog's needs to be rescued from our motorhome. It has space for the name and address of the campground and site number to be written in. I also list emergency contacts with our phone number. ICE numbers are on phones.
And one more. This is our favorite. It's from Nancy. My husband recently died, and our oldest son was trying to discourage me from traveling alone with pets because he was worried about me. I told him if his dad didn't even try to stop me, how successful did he think he could be? I told him, trust me to be an adult the way I had to trust you when you were a teen. He shut up. But yes, I have ID information on a poster in case of an emergency. Be sure and include your animal's descriptions, and I started doing that years ago. Something else that we have heard that a lot of people do, if there's an emergency while you're in the RV and you've got to call emergency help, to save you running around trying to find, like the campground brochure that tells you where you are and what number you're on and all that stuff. You're looking, trying to figure out what site is yours. Write it down, get a little magnet and keep a piece of paper on your refrigerator or on the wall someplace, and whenever you're in the campground, write down the address of the campground, the name of the campground, and your site number. And that way, if you have to call emergency services, you just can tell them, hey, we're in site such and such at this campground at this address, send help. Lots of tips there. All right, we got some Mississippi River to explore. And again, you can follow us on the blog, rvlifestyle.com. You can follow us on the rvcommunity.com. And of course, we'll have new videos every Saturday on our YouTube channel. That's the podcast for this week.
Happy trails!